very grateful to be here with you all. It's so good to see you all, and I hope you've had a lovely summer. This is our first event of our 30th birthday season. 30 years of celebrating poetry in Victoria. We have an amazing season lined up. And tonight at our open mic, we're celebrating the poetry of any poet who's been featured as one of our featured readers over the last 3 decades. And we have a wonderful open mic. But first of all, here right under our feet, we're gathered on the homelands of the Lekwungen. This is their home, their land is their home. And Lekwungen is a word that means people of the smoked herring, or land of the people of the smoked herring. And it's also, Lekwungen is known, people are known as the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations, and they speak the language Lekwungen. And like us poets here today, theirs is an oral tradition, and their speaking carries weight. And their words and teachings have persevered through untold generations, and Planet Earth Poetry is committed to making space for First Nations voices and for celebrating any First Nations poets wherever possible. Russell Books also has sections devoted to First Nations literature, so please ask the staff and learn more and enjoy their work. I'd also like to thank the sponsors of Planet Earth Poetry. We're sponsored by the Writers' Union of Canada, the League of Canadian Poets, the Capital Region District, and Victoria Arts Council. And I also want to extend a special thank you to Russell Books for allowing us to have this amazing space every single week for free. Thank you, Russell Books. You've likely already visited our book tables. Thank you to everyone who donated books for tonight for this fundraiser. The prices are $5 for poetry, $5 for fiction, and there's a miscellaneous table, as well as journals and chapbooks that are kind of this mysterious $3 to $5 range, and you can decide what you want to pay. And we'll have a break later on. You can have a look at some more books. If you need to use the washrooms during the reading, we've turned the escalators off, so you'll have to visit the washrooms via the elevator at the back, and then kind of journey to that far back corner down below. That's where the washrooms are. They're the Russell Books staff washrooms, so don't ask for them when we're not here for Planet Earth Poetry, because they're not open except for night, like tonight. All of our poetry at the open mic has 3 rules: 1 poem, no matter how short. We have 3 minutes each, and that includes any sort of remarks you want to make. We don't allow any discriminatory speech, but as we're all reading poems from previous featured readers, I don't think we're going to have that problem tonight, which is why we're live streaming. We actually have someone from Australia on our live stream. Hello, live stream. Is it? Yeah, you know her. That's so cool. So without further ado, let's open the open mic, and we'll have 2 rounds, then a break. And first up, Jean-Paul volunteered to start us off, and of course the car alarm goes off as soon as we start reading. Jean-Paul, welcome, Jean-Paul.
The very first time I read a poem of mine in public was here. And Matt Rader was the featured reader that night, and I'm a huge fan, so I was a little anxious. And then Lorna Crozier was also in the audience. So to say that I was nervous is an understatement. So I'm reading Ghost Hawk from Matt Rader's latest book, Ghost Hawk. The principal stars visible at this hour have many names. For example, Algol, aka Demon Star, from the Arabic for demon star. This planisphere was a childhood gift from a man who desired, whom he desired in plague years, who promised he'd haunt us as a hawk when he died, then died. Now, Ghost Hawk is the only spirit guide I ever recognize. Today, the names of flowers title all my feelings. Blue flax, morning glory, goat's beard. For example, aster from the Greek for star. For example, desire, which is visible clearly at this latitude, at this hour.
Great choice. I've got a feeling I'm going to be saying great choice like 20 times tonight. Next up, please welcome Pigs. You didn't hear me. I'm sorry, I didn't. Maybe I spoke too fast.
It was hard to choose. It was hard to choose only one poem from Lorna Crozier's. After that, I know many of you are probably more familiar with the collection than I. This was How He Died. How did he die? He ended up at Okanagan Lake, fashioned a paper boat, and pushed it from shore. A bracelet of baby teeth inside it. His mother came in spirit and carried him mightily away, small in her arms and blonde as he was as a child. She didn't smell of smoke and gin. We went together. We held a wounded gyre fountain in his hand. It screamed as its soul left its body. He could feel the lightness in his own chest. He died in his sleep. There were no excretions. A dragonfly sat on his forehead, its sharp feet gripping his skin. We went together. It was a dream. We both awakened. The 5 cats we'd loved over 40 years, restless in the bed. One of us had to get up and feed them. One of us couldn't be dead. 3 a.m. across the street. In the high reach of the trees was the wind playing a violin? Though mostly deaf, he turned his head towards what he heard as music. Listen. Lorna, listen. The last words he said.
That one always makes me want to cry. Such a beautiful poem. Please welcome David Kramer.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read a poem by Tawahum Bidge, the Dene Cree Two-Spirit poet, young fellow. And there's a great YouTube video where he's doing some speaking, and he's very intense with his speaking, and extremely intense, but the words are Spartan, and they sneak up on you. This is the poem's called Making a Nerd, or How My Dad Ranted about how the Elves never showed up at Helm's Deep in the Two Towers, directed by Peter Jackson. A couple of days after winter solstice, my dad took me to see the Two Towers. We biked, maybe walked, also bused across Newton to Scottsdale Cineplex to catch up to his young adulthood in the bathtub where he first read The Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I was excited for the fantasy or to enter this fantasy with him, boy and man. There were moments clear in a swift sunrise of tree people and castle keeps and hills rolling into my dad's waking dream. The way the projector lit his face, shine reflecting off glasses, and I can't remember if he piled popcorn into his mouth or not, salivating like eager eyes. We left the theater, and I felt so close to him, and his outstretched palm full of one magic gold ring joy, not often found in our 6-person peasant home. He talked and talked of this production quality, and he talked and talked on Tolkien and these halflings, and he talked and talked to tell me how the elves never protected the men, and the men did it all alone against overwhelming odds. And I know he wishes he could protect us all alone against overwhelming odds. The quick walk followed us to the chapter's bookstore in Newton, and the journey back to low-income townhouse. So much son amongst so much father.
I've got to say, what a great choice. Next, please welcome Andrea Mackenzie Rain.
I came without a book and a poem, but I was lucky to find a book over there. Friend Yvonne Blomer, her book, Death of Persephone, A Murder. I don't know why I didn't have this book already, but I'm glad to have it now. And I found the poem, Misogyny. This meme has no dictionary clarity. It's no Bible. This is women being hated. To cover one's incel tracks, mansplain each open and shut mouth, lipsticked and dying of boredom, while men's rights activists choke on their own laughter. This is not a press release. They get away with murder, lust caught in their red herrings, nothing by the book. The long arm offers a slap on the wrist, while women are eaten up like curious cats. Roasties, Stacy's, femoids. The pickup artists are killing 2 birds with 1 white van. Toy knife, shotgun, cocked celibate. While a blind eye turns and women burn, this is not a news report. 6 feet under, dead as a doornail, women are pushing up daisies back. Thank you.
Yvonne launched that here last year. Thank you, Andrea. Next, please welcome Lawrence Hutchman.
Welcome back, everybody. Summers are all so short now. Remember when we were kids, they seemed to go on forever. Now we're back here already, enjoying great poetry again. I'm going to read from Harold Reinisch's book, Taking the Breath Away. It sounds a bit like the song from an old Tom Cruise movie. Well, maybe it'll take your breath away. Taking the breath away. In the high plateau, the thistles grow taller than a horse, with spines an inch long. They have brilliant purple flowers, and for seeds, the down of birds. Among them, men plant cabbages and beets. There's a kind of paint which is the color of a woman's lips, of the thin sap of a thistle, or of a horse as it stands out in the rain. As brilliant green beetles fly out of the red beds into the pine forests, the thistles dream of the sea, where the fish say one word 1,000 times each hour, and never the same twice. An old gray horse stands shoulder deep in thistles, with bird down in his mane, and stares at the horse that stares at him out of the black glass of an empty shed. Sometimes he stands there for an entire day, until a woman comes in a blue coat with a handful of oats in her hand and leads him away. As they walk through the pasture together, the horse nuzzles her pocket. The stars shine suddenly, alone in the empty sky. It takes the breath away 1,000 times, and never the same twice.
Thanks so much for choosing that one, Lawrence. Stephen, do you have a poem? Yeah, fantastic. Stephen Ross Smith.
I have to confess that I didn't read the small print, the fine print. I realized we had to read a poem by another poet, but I didn't realize it had to be a poet who had been here on the series. But you said in the last 30 years, so maybe Fred Moten was here. I don't know. We can check the records, but so I may or may not be adhering to the. He was here. Whew. All right. He's an American poet, and I picked this book up in the book sale there. It's called, let's see if I can pronounce this, Akomfrahgment. The praline of amusement, and my cliometric pearl can't call it curve unnumbered. You can't ride that long. You can't turn that far. That cold coming and going in and out of snow, the speed of our washing is blinding, and our devotion is laughing without a name or song. This is our music. We're many hymns in love with one another, warring out of circle almost frozen. Color become shape. You put your coat on me.
Thank you, Steve. I think we can break the rules. So, well, you can break the rules. Yeah, you're allowed. Thank you. Next up, please welcome Kelsey Andrews.
I admit to a weakness about poems, and this seemed like a good place to. So this is Lorna Crozier. If a poem could walk, it would have paws, not feet, 4 of them, to sink into the moss when humans blunder up the path, or hooves, small ones, leaving half moons in the sand, something to make you stop and wonder what kind of animal this is, where it came from, where it's going. It draws nearest when you are most alone. You lay red plums on your blanket, a glass of cool cider, 2 sugar cubes, knowing it is tame and wild, the perfect animal, knowing it will stop for nothing as it walks with its 4 new legs right off the page.
Classic Lorna. Thank you so much, Kelsey. And the last poem for the first half of the evening will be read by Barbara Pellman. Oh, it feels like a long time ago. So I'm going to read from Dvora Levin's book, which actually I saw out there too. So Dvora was a long-time advocate and passionate lover of poetry. She didn't really come here, but she was at the St. James, and she was certainly from Macambo days downtown to Hillside Coffee and Tea. She was always there, and she was the one who said to me, well, you know, don't go to synagogue on Friday night, go to poetry. That's where the spiritual thing happens. And so I definitely followed her lead. She was a marvelous person. So I'm just going to read you a little bit, and it's a shortish poem. She was unbelievably accomplished, and she gave everything she had to everything she did. She was as comfortable working for Teddy Kollek, the mayor of Jerusalem, as she was teaching poetry to sex workers and residents in a halfway house. She was just as focused on facilitating conflict resolution between Jews and Palestinians in Old Town Jerusalem. She lived in Jerusalem for about 14 years. As she was helping the Victoria Police Department redefine its culture. She had so many friends, and we really, really miss her. So here is a poem from her days in Jerusalem. It's called The Bent Nail. At Zion Gate, the light catches her. Its cream, thickened by the day, holds her in place. The wall is dusted with pink, the inexplicable pastels of Jerusalem stone stacked block upon block. She touches its warm face, pocked by desert sands, smeared with the curses of prophets hawking our doom. Even now, their thin green fingers reach out between the widening cracks. She leans into the stone. In the dirt, newspapers crumble with new prophecies. Orange peels shrivel the dreams of Jaffa, Jericho. Used condoms stop forbidden seed from spilling into the dust. Then the muezzin calls. The light shifts. She hears the rock inhale, exhale, the arch, the opening. The entrance is a hard right angle, making swift entry impossible. Here she knows the shape of things, the breath of stone. The path is bent. Thank you for bringing Dvora here tonight, Barbara. I remember her well. Thank you. Okay, everyone, let's have a 5-minute break, maybe even longer. And we'll look at the time in a second. Go buy some books, please. And we're going to pass the basket around. All of the money from our basket and our book sale goes directly to paying poets. And we have many poets lined up who we have to pay. So please, $1, $5, $50, chuck it in the basket. We won't say no. If you don't have it, that's okay. We're just happy that you're here. Thank you so much. See you in a sec. Okay.
That I've read before and I've enjoyed his work. And it's about New York. Are we allowed that here? I don't know. I'm just looking at it. Wayne. Yeah, Colony of Honor.
You read this?
Yeah.
Is it fiction?
Yep. Novel.
If you would buy one of the Russell Brooks books, I can do that for you. By the
Oh,
way.
okay.
No pressure. You're
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. I need my glasses.
I feel like I may have heard of this, but I don't know if it's just that it's a popular phrase. Maybe that's what I think. But
Well, it's this Canadian author, so.
oh, is that what all of
Yeah.
these are? I read that book, Milk and Honey, and I'm so disappointed that it got so popular.
Oh.
And I thought I was being harsh, and I read
Yeah.
other people say like, "How is this good?"
Yeah.
I was really I was like just so excited, and then I read her book. I was like,
What is
I was
it?
like, let me try again. And she read another one, and I was like, I don't understand how you're so hot. But maybe it's because she's young and Canadian.
My last book that we did, I enjoyed the book. I didn't quite, it was like,
Yeah.
did I tell you this
Yeah.
already? Yeah.
Is that what this is? You think I like maybe I'm
No,
confused?
no, I was just like, oh, you really know what I can do. Okay.
What are you reading now?
It's something King, and it's
Stephen King?
no, his name is King.
Oh,
He's a Canadian, and it's one of the selections from 1980 something, or maybe I don't know.
you said that and it was like a thing.
It's like a TED talk.
Oh.
And like the mass election. Yeah.
It must be focused on like books that are like super popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like a good thing.
Oh, well, yeah, it's kind of small press, so it's like, yeah, not,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
So you wouldn't recognize.
No. Although there is,
No, actually, I have like little mouse. For a car. The last one that was here, and I was
Thanks for saying.
Yeah, we have a board. The staff can borrow books one at a time. Use books only one at a time. That's the rule. So I'm gonna go sign it out for myself. And then if I'd like it, I'll buy it and send it. That's fair. It's good. That's fair. Yeah. It's good. No, we don't have it's retail. It doesn't have that many perks, but that's a nice one. So. Okay.
We might just sort of circle back to our seats in the next 30 seconds or so.
Are we supposed to sit down? That's what she said, and we
Okay, we're going to start again in a second. So thank you everyone, welcome back. So next week we have two poets here to help Brick Books celebrate their 50th birthday. Brick Books, if you don't know, Brick Books is a really esteemed Canadian literary press for poetry. And we have Jane Shee and Hari Alluri, who are just amazing. They're coming next week. And Brick Books is buying us cake. So there will be cake next week. Can you believe it? Cake and poetry? Can't get much better. So we'll start the second half of our open mic. And to begin, we will welcome Laurie McFadden.
Thank you. I'm reading a piece by Catherine Owen, who I know kind of from back and forth. She spent some time in Vancouver, but also lots of time in Edmonton, and that's where I know her from. And this book is Moving to Delilah, where it's all about her moving back to Edmonton and buying a house in a kind of a not great part of town. And it's close to, well, the title is A Revolving Sestina on the Stadium Tour 2022, Commonwealth Stadium, Edmonton. And I've spent a lot of time in Commonwealth Stadium myself, covering Eskimos football games, but also I saw the Rolling Stones there back in, it was the early 1990s. And I'm thinking, that was just, a few years ago. And then wait a minute, that was over 30 years ago. And they were old then, But anyway, so when I saw this title, I had to read from it tonight. In the house, the beastmaster of nostalgia. You can't fathom the thronging crowds, as if the whole world had become old, even the teens here to witness the lights, dressed in jester fashion, black and red, steaming in the stadium's cauldron. The heat, thick with early September fires, a heat that admits no breath, the sun a red thwack spinning off steel rails, the bleachers glass all lights, as Joan Jett kicks into hits, those never old repetitions of Runaways and Clover, cherry bombs and jukeboxes, crowds pouring down to the floor, intent on nostalgia's renewal. The way it claims your youth was valid, nostalgia, a stamp of history's approval, and now, before the clotting crowds, Poison sings of roses, their glam looks discarded, old, replaced by sump pump jam space memories, lights of a final gratitude, a tribute to Eddie's white and red guitar, the stage and its wild, eternal heat. While the audience steeps in the night's extended heat, snagging merch from the snake lines, skin so red from hours of waiting. Yet when Def Leppard lights the stage, you forget everything, the nearly old reality of Joe's silver hair, how tracks are crowds of excess sound, as Let It Go slides you into nostalgia's eliding arms, the songs repeating 13's nostalgia to you, how every word clenched rebellions, crowds of acts you could manifest in theory, how old what never happened to you within the toggling lights of your private makeup mirror, the endless blush, applied red on cheeks that needed nil embellishment, that heat of hunger deepened by Motley Crue's discovery, a bad boy heat, so that now, 38 years after first seeing their black and red logo, they remain in your weird sky, persistent lights, Vince slipping up on lyrics, too many girls and strobes, Mick old, but you in this endless, intense instant meld with the screaming crowds, and whether this nostalgia is a kind of mental rot, nostalgia's stupid lights in the gut, it feels red as happiness, its heat never old, all the recollections, crowds of hell yeah, nostalgia.
I think that Catherine launched that here last year. Yeah. Thank you, Laurie. And next up, please welcome Gisela.
Well, thanks, Karen. Okay, I'm going to read from Poems from Planet Earth, an anthology that was edited by Yvonne and Cynthia Woodman Kirkham back in the day. And as I enter my crone years, this poem by Wendy Donowa kind of spoke to me. Most wished in her wild heart. Now even the knobbed and gnarled ginger root guards its aromatic tang and gift. Just so the bone its marrow, and just so the sun its shadows swung against the day as bamboo contours sweep my wall. Once a yellow-eyed hawk perched on my balcony, then left. What it offered, I cannot entirely name. For instance, a row of pots hangs, a chosen knife waits, quiet and gleaming. Also, how you sit, chin in hand, how your glance softens through the stew's herbed steam. Even violet-haired Sappho, unsure what she most wished in her wild heart, but again, that loosening of limbs. Still, the wild migrates into our dailiness, into the pots and the chopped herbs, into your face in the dying light and the hawk's cry.
Perfect. Thank you, Gisela. Please welcome Zoe Dickinson.
Hi. So I have a huge poet crush on Jen Zwicky, and I've seen her read at PEP maybe 3 times now, and she's so wonderful. My favorite book of hers is 37 Small Songs and 13 Silences, if you haven't read it. I forgot to bring it, so I'm reading from this one, which is actually on the shelf at Russell Books if you want it, if you don't have it already. And I chose Library since we're surrounded by books.
Library. Enter. The calm ranks stretch. Before you, dank, faintly stuffy, a cosmos of introverts. 10,000, 10,000 voices and not one glad hand. Ah, books, your silence, like old snow, deep without a footprint, even in the heat of June. Thanks.
Great choice, Zoe. Thank you so much. Please welcome John Rockford.
Hello, beautiful people. I also didn't have anything prepared tonight. I'm going to read from Garth Martens' Prologue for the Age of Consequence. I actually have a poem from this book framed on my wall. Garth and his wife gave it to me as a birthday gift, but I didn't actually own a copy of this book until tonight. So here it is. This one's called Contact. In the digital flash of 3 a.m. at the Best Western, he's awake. The ceiling fan, the heat, a fiberglass fuse on his skin. While Lisa sleeps, both shoulders covered, he realizes she's been crying. Lip gloss on her open mouth, eyeshadow a dusted flutter of wings. Inside her blouse, her breasts, heavy to his touch. They're numb, both his hands, the wrists. At 18, he joined the infantry. Near Wainwright, training. It was 40 below. They were firing shells. He shed his gloves to fix the radio and lost all feeling. In Afghanistan, hills glutted with men triggering rounds through the scrub, his rifle fuming. He forgot the local smokes were primed with opium. He's 20 now and works for his father in the North End, every day in a harness rising with a skyscraper, half built. He wanted tomorrow off, yet asking his father, he was queasy. He couldn't face the old man, so instead walked out. What kind of soldier, son, he asks himself, runs? His rage, his lust is on the other side of his wrists. The guy whose chin he smashed yesterday after work was lumber under steel. Women, too, were pictures he called up, overlaid on websites, neon cheap, on the rig pig in the tight shirt whose glance swelled shut before the brawling quit. He saw so many women. He liked the honest ones. He figured it was in their pose, the mouth of the course, through a filter weather in the eyes. That's what he saw through the crowd, through the sputtering shrapnel of the strobe. Lisa, under the speakers, wearing a red blouse with her left shoulder exposed, sharp in his circuitry. He was charged by the men standing close, everyone's desires soldered to his own, the smooth, open fire of her dancing. He felt her up at the bar. He was never so bold before his hands went blind. She didn't say much, even later, his hands sweeping her skin, his mouth on her body. Through the balcony screen, the summer, hard going, carries on. If he were to sleep, he might confront his father's slipping gaze, years in a company hat, hair matted, losing luster. But who is sleeping and who now has been crying?
Such a brilliant book. Garth has another book coming out very soon, and he might be launching this season with us. Next up, Andrea Scott. Please welcome Andrea. Oh, sorry, Andrea Scott.
All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? I'm going to read a poem by Alisa Gordineer. So I'm assuming she was a featured reader. She was a frequent Macambo poet. I came out a couple times, but wasn't really part of the community then. She launched this lovely book, Still Hungry, 10 years ago. And I texted her to say, oh, can I read from this? And she couldn't believe it's been 10 years. We've been friends since the early 90s, which also to me seems like yesterday. But yeah, having dinner parties together for 30 plus years. And she's got a great book or a great poem in here called Sunday Dinner. So a portrait of lots of the characters in our lives, kind of friends, chosen family, and shoot, I'll find it. It's a short poem. All right, Sunday Dinner. I especially like, there's a nod in here to my Aunt Lila and her dump cake. She's from Tomahawk, Alberta. Does anybody know dump cake? Yeah, great. I knew you would, Anne. Okay, thank you. Anne, a different Anne. Anne, with a wheat sheaf tattooed between her breasts, serves cleavage over emptied plates. And the last of the champagne mimics Kate's jiggle shimmy. But Kate is like that, and we all giggle after asparagus, merlot, beef, brie, yes. Makes you wonder what's happening under the table when everyone bites into the dessert and sighs over Aunt Lila's dump cake. All the flour, chocolate, butter, and eggs mixed in the pan like a big old sandbox. Anne says she could recite so many of those recipes, easy prairie food, potatoes and cream of whatever's left. But nobody's listening because Kate dances on the table and the wine glasses tip into puddled napkins. Doubled over, soon someone is bound to begin her slow slip into disbelief, rail against cheese plates, ice cream, flesh betrayed. A table the size of Saskatchewan, and still our bellies have room to expand. Hunger, that persistent tractor, tills available impatient space.
Yum. Thank you, Andrea. Next up, please welcome Daniel Scott.
It's a horrible business choosing one poem from all the stacks of books. I thought about Laura Pohl, Fine Yellow Dust, too serious. And I thought about reading the poem that I read at Richard Osler's memorial service last year, Too Serious. So I found this other poem by Richard Osler. It's called, I think it's appropriate because of all the books here tonight, Two Poets Divorce. I want Cohen. No, I want him. You take Dickinson. No, I want Wilkinson. Okay, take them. I don't care, just leave me Gilbert, Ginsberg, Haas, Hirschfield, Hoagland, and Hughes. Grass is greener when Whitman sings it. Take that. And Ploth. But I want Waugh, Wallace, Williams, C.K., W.C., and Hughes, the Wrights, all of them. C.D., Charles, Franz, James, Jay, and Sandra. No, nothing's wrong. Above all, loud and clear, please leave me low. And all her kissing and kissing again. Yes, low as in locks, not low. And give me Lane, Lux, Dunn, Doobie, and McHugh. Do you remember the first poet we read together? Don't ask me. I don't. But if you do, keep the book, please. Leave it for the kids. They like the poets too. Cummings, of course, and Olds. But especially they love Frost, his birches, how they bend, don't break, how he wants to get away from Earth a while, but later, when he's not sure, wants to come back and begin over. No, not for anything will I begin with you again. But yes, Frost is right. He's right about this. Earth's the right place for love. And do you remember our first kiss? I have no poem for that.
Oh my God, so good. Please welcome Anne Hopkinson.
I wonder if anyone bought a book tonight called Hunger by Susan Musgrave. No? Shoot, I lost it. I brought it and it was the book I was going to read from, but I think it went in the mix. Anyway, moving on. Susan Musgrave has 37 books, so I was able to find another poem. And this one is about a special dinner for poets. 5 of them got together at her house in Masset in Haida Gwaii. It was Joe Rosenblatt, Lorna Crozier, Pat Lane, and Al Purdy, and Susan Musgrave. And for dinner, Joe Rosenblatt brought a loon, a Canadian loon. And they decided to cook it. And it didn't look good in the pot. So Patrick Lane decided to read 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird, Wallace Stevens, right? So in response to him reading that poem, Susan Musgrave wrote 11 Ways of Looking at Canadian Unity. 1, among 20 Rocky Mountains, the only moving thing was the loon's eye opening and closing in the poet's stockpot. 2, I was of 3 or more minds, like a country in which there are 2 or more distinct societies. 3, the loon simmered in its watery kettle, a small symbol of national unity and fairly well cooked. 4, Quebec and the rest of Canada should be one. Quebec and the rest of Canada and a cooked loon should be 2. 5, I do not know how to compare the beauty of Quebec to the beauty of the rest of Canada, or the loon before he is cooked, or just after. Susan Musgrave, honestly. 6, the shadow of the loon lolling in boiling water creates a restless mood across the nation. 7, oh, politicians of Canada, why do you put loons on our coins? Do you not see how the loon sinks to the bottom of this stock pot, that it's hard for citizens to scrape off the stuck bits? 8, I know Canadian regional accents, bilingualism, and the patois of Montreal, but I know too that the loon is involved in almost every level of government. 9, when the loon flew into the telegraph wire at Qualicum Beach, the poet recognized it as being one of many cliches. 10, at the sight of the loon in a stock pot far from home, even the bards of southern Vancouver Island would cry out in both official languages. 11, it was Canada, snowing, beer was flowing, and you could count on it. There would be more demonstrations, more unemployed poets. The loon simmered in a paltry bit of oversalted water all evening. Here's the next part. Lorna, still looking for a recipe, found the Eskimo cookbook. We don't say Eskimos anymore. Found the Eskimo cookbook. Never cook a loon, it advised. Do not make loon soup, but suggested boiling a fresh snowy owl instead.
Oh my God. I had Susan as a teacher at UVic for one class. She was a hoot. Okay, moving on to our last poem of the evening, and please welcome Sandy to read it.
Oh my God, this has been a lot of fun. I'm reading a poem by Wendy Moten. I wouldn't be writing or reading poetry at all if it wasn't for Wendy. I met her at Planet Earth one night,
And then she decided to have a little workshop at her place on Sunday afternoons for a while. There was a group of us used to go out there and meet and write. And she didn't read her own poetry very often, but she did read this one. And although the subject is a bit serious, it's really not a sad poem. It's called Bernie's Funeral. Bernie left clear instructions, money in the bank, a letter from his lawyer, detailed diagrams. He wanted the Mormon Tabernacle Choir to parachute onto the beach, singing Beethoven's Ode to Joy. When they were through, he asked that his thin remains be placed on a golden Viking ship with all his Mozart symphonies and a case of Dom Perignon, Don Giovanni playing over the raging wind. He asked to be launched into the singing strait, the ship set aflame with a burning arrow and exquisite sunset power. His friends did the best they could. They found a wooden pallet down the road, built a scarecrow out of a broom and wire, draped Bernie's opera cape around it, added his black beret, photographs of his pals from Buffy's pub, and a 6-pack of Molson Dry. They set it all on fire with some kerosene. The third wave put out the fire. The fourth wave swept it clean. And his friends sang and sang, their voices rising over the strait's cacophony, in celebration, in celebration.
Oh my goodness, those last 3 poems, what a great way to end. Thank you everybody for sharing all of these amazing poets tonight in community, and just remembering, thank you for being here and sharing.